You gonna fuck around out there in the streets till you get killed? Like your cousin, maybe?
What's that, sir?
Well, Sharif tells me him and Stacy have been trying to get you to leave with him.
Yeah, but I don't know about no Kansas.
Yeah, I hear you there. I was teasing Sharif about that before you came in. But what are you gonna do if you stay? Sharif used to get into all kinds of shit before he found the nation. Now, I'm no Muslim, but I agree with some of the things they say regarding black people. And if Allah helps to make him a better man than Jesus can, then I'm all for it.
So what you trying to say, Mr. Butler?
Whatever changes you have to make, then you just do it. You gotta think about your life. Being a black man in America isn't easy. The hunt is on. And you're the prey.
I'm your professor, I will test you in the worst way. Don't bring a scantron, it's pop quizzes all day. Cause of our chemistry, we do biology. What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Subscriber trying. You see the thumbnail. More importantly, saw the clip. Shout out to Charles S. Dutton, one of the greatest actors of my life. This is about sometimes you got to leave home. And if y'all saw the movie, y'all know how this goes and how it ends, right? And this becomes an issue in the narrative with people. It don't end as bad with this, but there's sometimes when you're a younger person and you really didn't prepare for your future when you were, say, in high school, and now you're just at home. If you got a mischievous nature, it's better that you leave, because all you're going to do if you stay is get in trouble. That's it. Some of y'all want to be adults in your city so you can finally move and shake as an adult in your city. But if you, like I said, been getting into trouble and don't have a real plan for your life, it's not going to end well for the most part. Now, I'm gonna say this in a few different ways because I want to cover all these bases. Some of y'all leave and y'all realize you're the problem, and you make a change in your life and you become better where you wind up at. And some of y'all leave and you get homesick and you try to do the same stupid stuff you did at home and you wind up getting thrown out of wherever you at and you wind up back home. Don't be that person. The other thing, there's no nice way to say what I'm about to say. Some of y'all are scared because you don't have a support system if you go somewhere. So you'll have to be more responsible, and that's why some of y'all stay, because y'all irresponsible and somebody's always cleaning up your mess and you don't trust yourself to not get yourself into a mess and clean up your mess. So in essence, what you're really doing is dragging people down until they get tired of you. And then they let you just go off into society, and whatever happens to you at that point happens to you. Some people straighten up and other people, it just ends bad. But another reason you should really leave is because, see, some people never leave their hometown, right? And sometimes you can leave. And I would say this, if you were able to, because we did this back in the day when I was a kid, family would send you to other families' house for the summer. So you'd be in a different part of the United States of America. So what happens is when you see other places, you see how other people live and the possibility in other places. you start to realize your little stomping ground, the world is bigger than that. So even if you come back home, the issues of home don't really box you in anymore because because you go, oh well, I mean, people out here doing this and people out here doing that, and people are, I found out this person is not from there, and this person, went over here, and then they came back to visit, and if they can do that, I could do that. Or if they found out how big the world is, I could find out how big the world is. They'll let you know it's not easy, but then you go, okay, I don't have to feel important when I'm relegated to the area that I know. I could be important somewhere else. But some people are afraid of that. Some people don't want to be a little fish in the big pond. You get what I'm saying? And they try to get as big as they can in their little pond, you know, and that happens. But there are other people who, come in and out of that situation because it's like, hey, I don't need to be here. Just like when you deal with people who are, let's say, extremely successful, they may stay somewhere, but 9 times out of 10, they came from somewhere completely different than where they stay. Every now and then you got people who are hometown people who, make it at home and stay at home and they grow at home. But even those people travel a lot. They just love their hometown, but they spent their time doing things outside of their hometown that they know how big the world is or how small it can be sometimes. Because you can find a piece of home in almost every city you go to, because people from where you're from or around where you're from or where you're at if you go somewhere. So that's a whole nother thing. But sometimes you got to leave town because you need a fresh start. You need to go, where somebody doesn't know you. Because sometimes you're you because of where you're at. And you're not able to grow because you never go anywhere. And if you go places, you don't have to be that anymore. And you got to see if that's who you really want to be everywhere you go. Because sometimes you are who you are everywhere, and then other times you are who you are because of where you're at. And when you leave that situation, you go, you know what? I ain't got to do all that. I ain't got to be all that. I ain't in a different place. And sometimes, let me say this: even for you guys who want to be, feel like you tough. Sometimes you tough because you in a city that ain't tough. You gonna wind up going to a tough, and you wind up going to a tough city. You pipe down a little bit. You like, oh, okay. This is way more aggressive than my hometown. And you gotta understand, like me, for all the cities I lived in, the places I've been, born in New Orleans, raised in Chicago, lived in the DMV, now living in Texas, and all the little places I've been, all the towns I've been in between, not necessarily living, but visiting, hanging out, Atlanta, Indianapolis, Charlotte, Tampa, like, I could go Memphis. Like, I done been a few, I can't keep up with all the places I've been. Vegas, whatever. But I just visited Vegas, but it was cool. But um, you wind up realizing, like, I've known people from other places, Baton Rouge. I'm sorry, I've seen people like, yeah, I'm this and I'm that, and then don't get it twisted. You know what I'm saying? I got a story with my younger cousin from New Orleans. He came to visit me in Chicago. He had to put all that New Orleans thuggery down because he's like, oh, these is serious. I'm like, yeah, man, this is not the city to play that with. I got family in Compton. I don't know if they still in Compton though. Family in Philly and all that. So when you come from one place to another, it might make you chill out. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you go to a smaller town and then you wind up in a big city and you go, oh, whoo, you got to be a different animal. Because some people can blossom in a smaller place because the big cities is a little too much. And some people can blossom in a bigger place because those are the opportunities they wanted. and they run in a small town, but it's like you got to work. In my opinion, it's best to leave. You know what I'm saying? And even when I was a kid, and I lived in the DMV, and I lived in Chicago, I always said I was gonna come back to the South, just flat out for the weather. You know what I'm saying? But being in Chicago and being in Maryland, it let me realize how big the world was. So when I was in Chicago, when I was in grade school and high school, a lot of my friends were like, "We're gonna be here, we're gonna be here," and I'm like, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not," because I saw other things. And even being in New Orleans, you know, I remember one time, my older cousin took me to Michael Jordan's neighborhood because he wanted to see Michael Jordan's house. He knew where Michael Jordan stayed at. He's like, "See, like people live like this." And I'll never forget. I always appreciate him just for that. He's my cousin. He's a great dude, but that really did some things. And even when I lived in the DMV, I used to get on a train and go, to Pennsylvania Avenue or whatever, Smithsonian, all of that stuff. I was riding the train as a kid or whatever. But and I see the White House, the Air and Space Museum, the monument, all that. And that's why I tell people stories back in the day. The projects was behind the White House. That's why you never saw was behind the White House. And that was my introduction to America in a sense, because I was young and I started thinking. It was about I was a kid. I was a kid. I was really a kid. I think I was in first grade. I think I was in first grade then. And but being able to see other places and see how other people live and see other cultures, it made me go, okay, the world, I can get away from this particular place if I don't like it and go somewhere else. And that's dope. And some people need that experience. And some people don't know they need it until they get it. The same thing when people go to college and maybe even the military. A lot of people that can't handle that, they get homesick. Like you got to get over being homesick. I'm always say that if you go somewhere, stay there long enough to get the homesick thing out of your system, and then think about where you want to go if you want to stay or go. Because if you get homesick and you go back, you never really gave the place you're at a true chance. Because that might be the place for you, or that just might not be the place for you. You get what I'm saying? You can go somewhere else, but just from there to home, that's a bad idea. But I'm gonna leave it at that. You tell me what you think. Like, share, subscribe, or die trying. Catch y'all on the next one. Peace. You ever been at the top of the universe? I'm gonna tell you that.